There is a brass key sitting in my daughter's coat pocket right now. She is 8 years old. She doesn't fully understand what it opens. But a judge does, a trustee does, and my mother, who once looked at this child across a Thanksgiving table and said, quietly to the woman sitting next to her, "She's not really family, and she does too now." The deed has already been transferred. The challenge window closed on a Sunday. Nobody filed. What everyone assumed would stay in the family did stay in the family. They just had the wrong definition of who that included. My father understood something about belonging that the rest of them never bothered to learn. But to understand what he did, you need to know what they did first. My father remarried when I was 11. Her name was Diane, and she came with 2 children of her own, a boy and a girl, both younger than me, both loud in the way that children are when they know they are wanted. The lake house had been in my father's family for 30 years before any of them arrived. I remember the smell of it. Pine resin and cold water, and something older underneath, like wood that had absorbed decades of quiet mornings. There was a brass key on a hook by the back door. My father put it there the summer I turned 7, and he told me that as long as that key was on that hook, I would always have a place to come back to. Diane rearranged most of the house within a year of moving in. She left the key where it was. I noticed that she never touched it. I also noticed much later that she never once looked at it. It was Thanksgiving. My daughter was 4 years old, small enough that she still reached up to hold my hand in unfamiliar rooms. Diane had arranged the seating herself. She always did. And my daughter was placed at a separate folding table near the kitchen door, alone, while Diane's grandchildren sat at the main table with the adults. I didn't say anything. I watched my daughter arrange her fork and spoon, with the careful seriousness of a child, trying to behave correctly in a situation she didn't understand. Then I heard it. Diane leaned toward the woman beside her, her sister, I think, and said it the way people say things they've already decided are true. "She's not really family." 4 words, conversational volume, no hesitation. I folded my napkin. I looked at my daughter's face. She hadn't heard. I picked up my fork and I ate my dinner. What I didn't do was forget. And that, it turned out, was the first time she said it. It was not the last. Over the next 18 months, I kept a note on my phone. No commentary, just dates and facts. March 14th. A family photo posted to Diane's social media from a birthday dinner. Caption, "Love these kids." My daughter had been there. She was cropped out of the frame entirely. Not partially, entirely. June 2nd. My half-siblings' summer gathering at the lake house. My daughter and I were not invited. The explanation, delivered by text, "It's just immediate family this time." I screenshot it. I said nothing. October. My father's first hospitalization. I drove 4 hours. Diane managed the waiting room, the way she managed everything. By deciding who belonged in it, she told my daughter, who was 7 and had fallen asleep against my shoulder, to wait in the car. Not me, my daughter. I noted the time, 2:14 p.m. Then came the afternoon that made the pattern impossible to ignore. My father asked to speak with me alone during his recovery. He looked smaller in the hospital bed than I had ever seen him, but his voice was steady. What he told me in that room reordered everything I thought I understood about the previous 7 years. He didn't ask me what I wanted. He told me what he had already done. It was a Tuesday afternoon in November. The room smelled like antiseptic and the particular staleness of recycled hospital air. Winter light came through the blinds in flat, even strips. My father reached toward the bedside table and pointed to a manila folder sitting beneath his water glass. He didn't hand it to me. He just pointed. I opened it myself. 3 years earlier, without telling anyone, he had amended his will. The lake house, assessed at $340,000, held in the family for 30 years, was left directly to my daughter. Not to me, to her. Held in trust until she turned 25, managed by an independent trustee, structured so that no other party could access, sell, or contest it after the probate window closed. On the cover of the folder, in my father's handwriting, was a small sketch, a door, and on the door, a key. Diane was in the hallway. She didn't know the folder existed, not yet. My father died 6 weeks later. The will entered probate on a Thursday morning in January. I met with the estate attorney the following week. The structure was clean and deliberate. Section 4B of the trust instrument named an independent trustee, not a family member, not someone Diane could pressure or persuade. The lake house could not be sold, transferred, or encumbered until my daughter reached 25. Any legal challenge to the bequest had to be filed. Within 90 days of probate opening, that was the window. 90 days. I knew about it. Diane did not. I did not tell her. I did not tell anyone. I returned her calls when she made them, answered questions about the estate that had nothing to do with the trust, and waited. Day 91 was a Sunday. My daughter had a soccer game. The formal estate reading was held on a Wednesday morning at the attorney's office. Diane sat to my left. Her 2 children sat across from her. Everyone had dressed for it. The way people dress when they expect to receive something. The attorney read through the estate methodically. The accounts, the personal property, the vehicle. Then he reached section 4B. He read it the way attorneys read everything, evenly without inflection, as though the words were simply words. The lake house, assessed at $340,000, held in trust for a minor beneficiary. Her full name, her date of birth, her, an 8-year-old girl who had once been made to wait in a car. Diane's hands, which had been folded on the table, went still. Her daughter looked at her brother. Nobody spoke for 11 seconds. I counted. If you have ever watched a child be called not family by someone who had no right to decide that, you already know how those 11 seconds felt. My father had not acted out of cruelty. He had simply written down in legal language what he believed to be true. The key on the hook had always been hers. He had just made it permanent. Nobody contested it. The 90 days passed and the trust became a movable fact. Diane and I no longer speak. That is not a consequence I engineered. It is simply what happened when the performance of family was no longer required from either side. I took my daughter to the lake house for the first time as its future owner on a Saturday in April. She didn't fully understand the legal reality of it. She explored the rooms the way children explore places they instinctively feel safe in. Then she found the back door. She stood on her toes, lifted the brass key from the hook, and turned it over in her small hands. She looked at me. She put it in her pocket. My father knew exactly what he was doing.